Good morning and welcome to another fantastic episode of VPR Radio. This is your girl, Kiana the Goddess. I'm here with my amazing partner, DJ FMI. How are you?
Kiana, I have been busy. You know
Facts,
what I mean?
always.
This month has flown by, honestly. I have been DJing in clubs. Shout out to St. Michael's Academy for having me for their annual fun mother dance. So
That's
so it was a lot going on. Also, what 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 what, what sign is associated with this month? Aries
yeah,
or Pisces?
Aries and Pisces, actually. I think we're just moving into Aries season.
Okay, so shout out to all my Aries and Pisces. I know I was DJing the club for S.U.N.Y's birthday bash at the Hit the Beat last event where we had artists come out and perform. Thank you to everyone that popped out and showed out for
Dope.
Voice's birthday. Shout out to Tron joining super early on the chat. VPR, what is good? What is good? I'm waking up with y'all. I'm waking up with y'all. See, I don't have my coffee here.
I know me
So,
either.
yeah.
I have my water though, as usual. Nice and icy. On this
We're gonna
ice.
have, of course, a dope guest that's gonna come up here and enlighten you upon what she does.
Yeah.
But until then, you're rocking with us, of course, and we're gonna let the room fill in while me and Kiana, of course, just chop it up and see how we feeling this morning.
My favorite part of the day. So tell me everything, partner. And shout out to our guest. She's actually, I think her birthday was yesterday. So she's right in that field with
I know too many people in this month. I'm just saying, I know too many people in this month. I got a birthday I got coming up.
Yeah.
I got to celebrate with people. All you Aries out there.
Yeah. Aries is our opposite sign. Have you ever dated an Aries?
Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm playing around one now. So, so it's like that.
It's
like that. So, VPR,
He said I'm playing around with one right now.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to keep it a buck, VPR. They annoying as hell. Citron said Aries are annoying as hell. Okay. So, Kiana, recently I found myself cruising the internet, just through the waves of the internet, the deep dark webs. And I came up to an interview that really caught me.
Okay.
And it was Schoolboy Q. He just put out a recent album. I think it's called like Blue. God should definitely go check it out. I think Schoolboy Q's music is super dope. He's a talented artist from TDE.
Okay.
But what he said during the interview is, all y'all rappers that come out here and do that check-in culture, y'all stupid as hell. He's like, y'all checking in with a stranger you don't know that got beef with other hoods in LA, and you expect him to take care of you. All they gonna do is rob you. All that checking in is all we gonna do is rob you.
Yeah.
He's like, don't call me. I'm out there. He's like, I'm taking my daughter to her soccer game. Don't call me and expect me to come on, pull up on you an hour away in LA. So it's just that culture, VPR, that, and I always say that with LA and its gang culture and the way it's situated.
Yeah.
It's so cemented within their own hip hop scene that it has its own politics even before the music
and hierarchy. Yeah,
and that seems to change very suddenly upon people passing away and then someone taking over, and So I just find it with the LA gang culture, and I just wanted to open a show by talking about it, just to see how much it affects the hip hop sound. Because when on the East Coast, how many LA acts do we really hear? On our waves, or that we come across, or the big acts from LA.
Yeah, I've always found it interesting because once again, right, hip hop is a very unique genre of music. Do you ever see like country music or R&B saying this is West Coast R&B? You know what I mean? This is East Coast R&B, and we have like it's never really made sense to me, and it still doesn't, because hip hop music is hip hop music, right? No matter where you come from. And it's relatable all over the map, right? Like people that live in LA and the gang culture have lived similar lifestyles of people in New York and Philadelphia, right? Like there's so many more parallels than our differences, I feel.
But what do you think about the LA gang culture that's even different from where it comes from New York or Atlanta, where it seems like the children feel like they have to align themselves at a younger age, whereas I'm not to say that in New York City they're not doing it here. You know what I mean? Now,
I mean, not
but
yet, right? But there are still, because honestly, I see little kids throwing blood gang signs. Like they don't even know. You know how many kids I've spoken to where I'm like, do you know what you're doing? And they're like, yo, that's the bro, that's the G, that's the, and I'm like, you're 11, right? I have an 11-year-old son. I can't even imagine. He would be so thrown off by that.
yeah, like I
It
was in
is.
the Barclays the other day, Kiana, and I was hearing these young women. They couldn't be older than like 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yo, she not gang. We could jump her right now. And it was a mixed color group. It was
Right.
Caucasian, Spanish girls, and black girls. And they
Yep.
all saying, yeah, she not sanctioned. We could go jump her right now. And when I was hearing that, I was just like, I'm in the Barclays.
So here's what's crazy.
2 days ago.
What's crazy to me, partner, is that most people don't even understand why the gangs began, right? In LA, it was more of like, I would say, something similar to a Black Panther movement about protecting the communities of the people. Somehow it turned within itself where now people became power hungry, right? That's how you have all these different sets underneath, right? It used to just be blood, Crip. Now there's this kind of blood and three blood.
Yeah.
It is crazy. So the whole reason that it was actually created has been completely dismantled and turned into something else that has become a culture that is destroying our people.
That too. And it's just to see how much we champion it and push it and how much it interferes with the business. Like I wouldn't want to be on the West Coast and trying to be an artist, especially just knowing it. Because I've even seen singers that have to be gang affiliated and they try to put it to the back so it doesn't affect it. So I don't know. LA, y'all really something else. But I did get a chance to bring up the video of Schoolberg Q saying that the Wi-Fi here is not the best, but this seems to be working with me right now.
Okay.
Rappers. You believe that's true?
Yeah. Wow. Because I mean, everybody be checking in. That's your favorite thing to do. Check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Right.
Wow. Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know, motherfucker, in California got your back? The guy that got beef with other hoods and all this, you checking into that dude? Right. Bro, just go to the hotel, get you something to eat, go back to the hotel.
Do your business.
Go have some fun.
Right.
Where shit is fun. Why do you want to go over there?
Right.
For what? Right. Don't call me.
Right.
Oh, so motherfuckers be having a nerve to call me sometime. Like, like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm playing video games. My daughter got a soccer game tomorrow, bro. Grow the fuck up. Like, I'm not about to drive over here to Beverly Hills and drop you off.
And that's why I tell Kiana your mic is muted. And this is why all artists going to LA understand that the culture out there is super different from all around the world.
Right.
I mean, we have lost a lot of rappers out there and other people.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the sad part is a lot of it, even besides like the checking in, even if you go into like the checking in on Facebook or Instagram, like the announcements, if you're a superstar or a superstar on the rise, you are going to be surrounded. You're going to have people that do not want to see you go where you need to go. So just like he said, right? Like, go get yourself something to eat, hang out. Don't be taking pictures and videos and letting everybody know where you are. Stay low, right? Like, I'll never understand. I move so low, partner, so low. And I know you know, right? Like, if I'm out, but that's it. If I'm not.
And VPR, we are public figures. I'll post it when I'm already gone.
Period.
You know what I mean? Because you can't be playing with your safety out there, honestly.
We check in after we checked out. Okay.
People are envious. Yep. Very envious. So yep. I can't even imagine. Kiana, so I also remember recently in the last week, I brought up the Freddie Gibbs situation and Benny the Butcher. Mm-hmm. It continues to go on, but we do have Bianca in the room.
Yes, we
can finish that conversation in another podcast. But
okay, well, let's just bring her up to the stage because I've definitely been looking forward to her. And she was introduced to us through Venus, so you already know she's coming in with all the love.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Bianca.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing really well.
I'm a little nervous for some reason. I've done this before, yet I'm always real nervous.
Oh, I understand. Don't worry. Your nerves are about to be right at ease because you are at home with us.
You are.
Yeah,
Once you start opening up with us, you'll be fine. It's going to be like a regular conversation.
I
absolutely.
know. And since our connection is Venus, I feel a little better about it.
Oh, for sure.
So yes.
It goes without saying, right? And shout out to Venus and Can I Buy? You guys check her out, Venus Ramos.
Yes.
So we want to learn all about you because you have an astounding career in broadcast journalism, besides being a poetess and an author. So I'd love to start from like your education, how you began, and then as you segued into being an author, why poetry is important to you. Just tell us your story.
All right. Well, I started writing in Brooklyn. So I was born in Brooklyn, and I used to finish my schoolwork before everybody. And I'm going to show my age with this. They had these things called SRAs. You used to have to read and answer questions at the end. And then you write stories. I did that all day because I was done with my work way ahead of everybody.
The same person. Yeah.
So that's when I started writing. And then I had something happen with a family friend that I kept to myself for years. And I think that changed me, and I didn't really fit in with the other kids. So we moved to Long Island. I spent a lot of my time, I did go outside and play, but I spent a lot of time writing and reading, which I still love to do. So I went to Uniondale High School, which was an experience. And then I did Nassau and S.U.N.Y Old Westbury for my degree in journalism, which is, my career is really not in broadcast journalism. I'm doing the writing and stuff. It's always been a side gig. I wanted to be an anchor woman. And then I developed severe allergies with the red eyes and 20 sneezes in a row. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work on camera.
Right. That's going to be hard to cut, especially live, right?
Right. So I had to put that to the side. And I did a couple little radio things, but mostly I had other odd jobs working in finance. And I decided to publish a book when, again, telling age, when I turned 50, I decided I didn't care what anybody thought. And
can we pause there? Did you just say
VPR
50? What?
That was 8 years ago.
What in the Benjamin Button?
The Benjamin Button.
So yeah.
Wow. You look amazing.
Thank you. Well, both my parents look young, so it's good genetics.
Come through, melanin.
But then I decided I didn't care what people thought. So that's when I spent more time trying to read my work in different places. And I had written a poem, which I won't share here because it's a trigger warning. I wrote a poem called Innocence Lost, which is about being molested by a family friend when I was like 8. I wrote the poem for another friend who was doing a book, and her book was based on someone disappearing and they had been molested and all this. I read the poem to my parents. I was already in my 40s. And my father was like, I don't like it. It seems too real. And I said it was. So all along, I was led to believe that he knew and he didn't protect me. So that's part of why I stayed to myself. I felt unprotected in this world. So that's the first time I shared it. And then I read it on a stage. And I was first time I ever read in public. I'm shaking and everything. And all these women came up to me afterwards and said, thank you. Thank you for saying what I couldn't put into words. Or some of them were like 60s and 70s and they never told. So that's when I realized that I had a good base. I could reach out to people, talk to them, and get them to open up about what they've been through. Because if you don't write about it or talk about it, you never get away from it.
Literally, my whole body just got chills.
Yeah. And VPR, for the people that are in the comment section right now, I want you to really listen to what she's saying about addressing some of the traumas. Because you sing to get on stage and to tell your deepest, darkest secret or what you've experienced.
Right.
And having those women approach you and still having to be open to have the conversation with them. That moved me.
Thanks.
Very much moved me.
Well, I figured if I stood on stage and read the hardest piece and bared my soul, that I could read anything after that. Because I've read other people's work, no problem, but reading mine is hard.
Absolutely. And, I think what's so important, and we talk about this often. So I love when our guests come on and they're really able to show that vulnerability, because especially as people of color, right? Like depending what your family roots are, there's a lot of secrets and stuff that are hidden, and you're taught not to talk about it. You're taught not to even talk to your parents, right? Like I look at the conversations I have with my children and the openness in which we communicate, and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that I've broken those generational curses, because going back to my great grandmother that I, was alive for a great part of my life, which I remember, there was still always so much secrecy and so many things that happened in the past and were still happening, right? That nobody was talking about and running away from. And it's interesting because when you're bearing your soul, you don't realize how many people have had that experience. That's why, all women flock to you, because you're connecting on such a grand level. So tell us, I know that you've won some contests for doing your poetry telling. I want to know all about that. And I want to know about your newest book, My Inner Voice.
Okay, well, My Inner Voice is the first book. I've been working on one called Journey to Healing, which I just can't seem to get the cover right, so I haven't released it yet. It was going to be a trilogy. So the first one shows some of the things I went through. The second one was going to show the adjustments, learning to trust people, opening up, all the hardships you go through. And then the last one was going to end with me getting married. So because all this time, my belief was if a man's lips were moving, he was lying. Like, I didn't want to hear what they had to say. I didn't want them too close because I didn't trust them because of what happened before.
Right.
So I had learned to open up with that. I kind of lost track of your question. I'm sorry.
No, I wanted to know about the book, just to
Okay.
give us a little bit of insight in what we would expect.
All right. It's called My Inner Voice, and it's me wishing I had listened to my inner voice. So there's a lot of different poems. One is called Tick, 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 Boom. And I'm sure we've all had in your lifetime one bad relationship, one toxic relationship. That person, when you step in the house, you don't know if you're going to meet Jekyll or Hyde. And for some reason, sometimes poems come to me whole. In the middle of the night, I jumped up, and I'm still with this guy, so he probably thought I was talking to another man. I'm whispering it into my phone and recorded that. And it's about just trying to go through life with someone that at any moment can explode. And then when they do and you try to walk away, they're like, please come back. I won't do it again. And then you repeat the whole cycle. So you either end up hardening yourself and being like that person, or just walking away and just leaving them to figure it out for themselves, which is what I chose to do. I just left him to figure out his own life.
Thank goodness, because that's an easy cycle.
Be like that.
An easy cycle to get caught up in, right? These behaviors.
And you go back and forth because it's I'm sorry, and then there's the gifts, and then goes right back to wherever it was.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my son the other day, and he is 26, and we were talking about just relationships and boundaries. And I was so proud of him because I'm like, as a man at 26, you learning to instill these boundaries, right? Because it's not just women that have to put up boundaries, men too. You can't allow people that you love to take advantage or walk all over you. And if you see that people are repeating a pattern of behavior, you have to set your boundaries in place. So you say, okay, this is what I will and won't allow. So there is a level of accountability, right? We can't victimize ourselves and say, this person did such and such and such to me. Now, that's different when you're a child, obviously, but as an adult, there comes some, level of accountability there. And that comes with your growth and your learning and absolutely learning how to put yourself first and love yourself. So what I really want to know, was your journey to healing all through your writing? Is that how you found your way to not just tell your story, but heal yourself past that trauma, to learn how to trust again, to learn how to be vulnerable, to learn how to kind of welcome your soft side and not feel like you always had to be on the defense?
Almost definitely, because you can't talk to people. And I can't speak from a guy's point of view, but as a woman, sometimes when you tell other women, especially when you're younger, that day that they decide they're not your friend, they're telling your business. Or if you tell a guy, they're throwing it back in your face. Because I've gotten stupid things, like I had a rape scenario in Jamaica, and I had some guy tell me, well, how do you get raped? Why don't you fight? Why don't you run away? Like all of a sudden you're at fault. So you're victimized a second time. So I just write everything. If it's something I feel I can share with the public, I keep it. If not, I mean, when you deal with a writer, I've killed off people in stories that have hurt me. Of course, I burn it or change names just in case something does happen to them and no one thinks I did it.
That's cut that emotional cord, literally and figuratively.
Right.
You did, yeah, for real.
Well, you got to change the names, because if they died and they're going to be like, "Oh, I found this story." And like,
exactly.
But that's how I managed. I write a lot of things out. And sometimes when you get emotional and you write it out and you read it again, you realize, well, maybe what I got upset about wasn't that serious. I was just caught up in that moment. Or you can look at it with a clear head and make better decisions.
And VPR, I think, you know what, I'm starting to think everybody should have a diary of some sorts. Because since the creation of the internet and social media, that has become some people's diaries and has affected people's lives, and let more people into your life that don't need to vibrate with your spirit. So I definitely think more people should write how they feel.
I completely I mean, daily, right? Like
Right.
me, even if you're not writing in like a journal, right? Like everybody's not into physically writing. I still love to write like this, but put it in your phone, right? Like affirmations.
There's a diary app, and then you update of your iPhone. So
you see,
you gotta make sure that
diary app
it's built in from Apple. They've been the journal app in the app.
Wow.
Yeah, you just want to make sure nobody sees it, because you might say something or write something you feel at that moment.
Right.
That might not be appropriate.
Right.
So when it comes to writing your poem, that process, how long does it take you to finish a poem? Could it take you a month, a week, or just an hour?
It depends. I mean, sometimes poems come to me in entirety. Like I was taking a shower and I was thinking about my friend's book, and that one, Innocence Lost, came to me. So I jump out, I got a towel, I'm dripping wet, I'm trying to write everything out before I lose my train of thought. And other poems I start and I may go back to it 4 or 5 months later and it's just not right. So it depends.
I completely agree. It's funny that you said the shower, because when you said earlier that you jumped up out of your sleep, these are when my best ideas come to me. When I'm sleeping, in the middle of sleep, like having a dream, something triggers me to wake up, or a shower. So like we have the same creative experience. What about you? Do you get your best ideas in the shower, FMI? Because I know you write too.
Man, honestly, I think I get my best ideas when I try to turn on the radio. Since I'm a DJ, I try to create from that standpoint when I have to produce or engineer. And or if I'm in my car in complete silence. So sometimes I'll just pull up wherever I gotta be and just sit there for a good 15 minutes. Just to gather my thoughts to see where I want to go with it throughout the day. And at least that's what I do.
Yeah, music's a good motivator.
Bianca, I know you do a lot of reading. Do you have like a favorite book or a favorite poet?
Well, Maya Angelou's my favorite poet. One of my favorite authors is a friend of my mom's from way back, a Jamaican lady, Alma Makian. And she started with the pantomimes and radio shows way back. And, you know, she's like 93 years old. And she actually sent one of my poems, before I thought it was good enough, to the newspaper there, and they liked it and they accepted it.
Wow.
And I think I won, it's going to sound like a lot of money. I think it was like 3,000 Jamaican dollars, which came out to like, I don't know, $10 here or something.
You was down in Jamaica though. You was good.
I was like, just leave the money there, but you know, thank you.
That's amazing though.
But yeah, so it comes in, music is a lot of a motivator for me. I like to listen to some, sometimes slow music, because sometimes it'll trigger something. Because when you really write, it's strong feelings that motivate you to write right away. So it's anger, love, and hurt. So when I first met my husband, I was writing away, you know. Now it's a little different. And then when you live with someone, you have to let them know, I can't be interrupted. If I'm writing and you interrupt me, I lose it.
Damn
and
right.
Even if I put it back together, it's not as good.
Not the same, right? So don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't ask me questions.
So there's been times, I wrote one about how it feels as you get older and your body changes. And I'm trying to write it, and he came up to me and I was like, don't talk to me, go away. Thankfully he understood, because I was just go move. And I'd written a poem about this, you know, I have this woman is following me and I don't like it. And then he's defending her like, well, you know, you need to be nice. And I'm like, why is he defending this woman? And then I go, there she is. And I point, and he comes up behind me in this poem, because we did it live once. And he hugs me and he goes, baby, that's a mirror. And he's like, stop talking about my wife like that. No, you're not skinny anymore, but you're still beautiful. And it's the whole thing that we go through all the time.
Oh, wow.
I'm always telling him,
beautiful.
Your wife is big and fat and ugly. And he's like, stop talking about my wife.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So we're going to actually do a video of that one.
Love that.
I write what I feel and what I go through. So I think more women relate to me, because I can only write from my experiences. But a lot of men can understand. Sorry?
What advice would you give to someone that's trying to write their first poem, that's going into the field like you? What advice can you give them when it comes to expressing themselves and being vulnerable?
Well, be true to yourself. Write what you feel. And people want to be perfect and grammatically correct. So just write whatever you feel and then go back and fix it. Because if you try to think like you're writing a school paper, it's going to come out stilted. It's not going to be your true true self. And make sure you write, like I said, what you feel. I try to write something from like my son's point of view, and it was okay, but you could tell it wasn't, it wasn't the right voice for a young man.
Right. Shout out to Corey in the chat. Thank you. He said that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And VPR, these episodes that we have here where we can sit back and humanize it and actually not come up here and tear down anyone and come together. I love this. Now, just before we get up out of here, I do want to hear all the upcoming projects that you're working on and where everyone can find you at on your social media.
Well, right now, I'm still working on the social media part. You can find me on Facebook, Bianca Simone Author, or dream_N_paradise. I'm doing a bunch of projects. I have 2 books I'm trying to put together. I'm just trying to get the cover straight. I did Ancestry and actually found a cousin and found some interesting stories in the process. So I want to write about that. And the lady Alma I mentioned, I'm trying to get to Jamaica to interview her because my mom and they did pantomime. They did. My uncle ended up coming here and dancing with Alvin Ailey, and their stories are interesting. So I'd like to write that. And I always say, you meet an older person, and you just see an old person. You forget they had a full life, and a lot of them done exciting things. So I like talking to people and creating stories from it.
I love that. And yes, they do. Do not let our elders go to waste. The stories, the jokes, the laughter.
Well, definitely.
100%. Bianca Simone, thank you for coming to VPR Radio. We would love to have you back on another episode. And please have a blessed day.
I would love that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We hope you have the most blessed day. I can't wait to grab a copy of your book, which I absolutely will do.
And I'll make sure I send you a personalized one, an autographed one.
Thank you, my love.
Just inbox me your address. I'll get it to you.
I will do. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
All right. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
You're being great.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Wow, what an amazing young woman.
VPR, I'm gonna just be honest, all right? To put myself on a stage and to tell you guys my story and all my hardships, I don't know if I got the balls to do it, all right? But that woman there, she's made a career of it, and she's touched a lot of people along her path.
Yeah, she definitely.
And I think that's the most beautiful thing you could do.
She's strength personified, for sure. So my inner voice, go and get that, support her, check her out on social media. She's my friend on Facebook, make her your friend on Facebook, and make those connections. I love coming here every Thursday, even when we have conversations that are triggering, right? There's so much healing that comes from these conversations. And I hope that we've been able to touch some people today. Thank you so much, Lloyd, for your beautiful words. Don't hide your poetry, get it out there.
Oh man. When she was saying some of that, like VPR, we have some guests up here, and when they tell us our stories, I'll be sitting here trying to, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm never too cool to be up here and not show my true self. So
yeah, y'all have
guys,
it down. It don't take much.
For both of us now. But guys, thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of VPR Radio.
Yeah.
You guys walk with love and light, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Yes. Be good, guys. Ciao.